Hello and welcome. Hopefully, you're here because you've purchased some Literacy with Dignity materials, or you're just interested in knowing more about them. This video will teach you how to use the materials and the major concepts you'll need to know to get started with Module 1. Before we get started, you should know Literacy with Dignity materials are all about reading intervention. Reading intervention means figuring out why a student struggles to read and teaching skills the student needs to improve. What I'm about to talk about will tackle the second half of that definition, teaching the skills the student needs to improve. Figuring out why a student struggles to read is a different video, which hopefully I'll release shortly. Who am I to make these materials? So glad you asked. Well, if you want the whole story, it's all available on my website. It's very long, but the short version is that when I became a 7th and 8th grade special education language arts teacher, and I realized I had to implement reading intervention into my small group classes, I really struggled. I asked to go to all sorts of trainings to be trained in specific programs, and I found that none of them really worked well for the classroom or worked really well for older students. They were just a little too rigid. If I tried to do a la carte, I would look online for materials and find that everything was for, little kids and they were degrading. The closest I ever got was sitting and watching my students work on Explode the Code workbooks. Highly recommend them, by the way. These are independent workbooks that start with the basics, the fundamentals of reading, and watching my students and listening to them read these sentences really gave me a lot of information on why they were struggling. So I came up with the idea to sort of come up with something similar, but also add some of these other exercises that I know are really essential to reading intervention that I learned through a lot of my training and a lot of my reading. They are designed for parents and teachers to use to guide their own intervention for their students. So these materials are designed to help students who struggle with decoding and encoding. So that means decoding is the ability to look at a new word, sound it out, and connect it to a meaning. Encoding is a fancy word for spelling. If you struggle with these skills, you may have dyslexia or you may have missed out on early childhood education. A lot of people had really poor early childhood education and just weren't properly taught these skills. And now, as adults, they're wondering why they're struggling. And it's amazing how quickly you improve when you go back and repair these little areas. That's why I love doing it. So these particular materials are designed for the non-expert tutor. You need little to no training in order to get started because you will learn as you go. So for example, if you're a parent who wants to help your kid after school, with some quick study sessions, these should be really easy for you to use. If you're a homeschool parent looking to design a more intensive reading intervention program on your own, this can provide you with a framework to get started. Similarly, if you're an upper elementary, middle, or high school teacher, and you know you need to implement reading intervention in your classroom and you're really unsure where to start, these materials are a great way to get started. Some prerequisites for your student. These materials are not right for every student who struggles to read. The student should know their single consonant sounds. That means they should know that K makes a K sound. They should, if you point to a P, they should be able to go P. I will say B, P, and D are frequently confused, so don't get caught up on that. But the other consonant sounds, they should be pretty solid on. They should also know what a vowel is versus a consonant. This is pretty easy to refresh their memories. And a student should also have a sight word vocabulary, meaning that if you give them a piece of text, at the third, fourth grade level, they should be able to read most of it because they've memorized a lot of the words or they've developed coping mechanisms for them. The tutor should also know for sure that the student has a weakness in reading and spelling closed syllables with automaticity, meaning some sort of assessment's been done, and you're sure that the student needs help in this particular area. If you're not sure, please feel free to email me, info@literacywithdignity.com, with any questions. Hopefully in the future, I'll have a video out that will teach you how to DIY an assessment. So here's the lesson structure. Each packet is a unit. The units come in a module. There are 10 units in a module. So each unit is designed to be spread out over 2 lessons per week. They should run about 25 to 60 minutes. That's really up to you. They can be really short. Obviously, the more time you spend practicing, the more progress they're going to make. One packet, such as 1.1, is 1 week. Each session involves listening practice, sound review, Vocab and practice, those are split up into two different sessions: nonsense word reading and nonsense word spelling. So here are the key concepts you need to know in order to get started with Module 1. Short vowel sounds, consonant digraphs, blends, and some skill practice also included in Module 1: P, B, and D differentiation, short vowel differentiation. So by that I mean students tend to mix up the E and I short sounds, eh and it, particularly if they are speakers of another language. Those are really tricky. So there's going to be a lot of practice in these packets with vowels that are very close together. And also a spelling rule, doubling. So for example, taking stem and adding ed to the end, you have to double the M, and also to put an ing at the end. The goal for the student in this module is the automatic reading and spelling of closed syllables. By automatic, I mean quick and accurate. Notice I didn't say that the goal for the student is to memorize any of these rules. If they are automatically reading and spelling closed syllables, unfamiliar closed syllables, they're doing it. Okay, so this can help you decide what hill you want to die on when they're struggling with a specific skill. An important thing for you to know before you get started is the difference between a sound and a letter. So if I ask you how many sounds are in the word cliff, you might do what a lot of my students say: C-L-I-F-F. There are 5 sounds in the word cliff, but that's wrong. Here are the sounds in the word cliff: K, O, I, F. There are 4 sounds in the word cliff. The double F is a digraph, which means even though there are 2 letters, it makes 1 sound. Okay, so this is an important thing for you to know. CL is a blend, 2 sounds, 2 letters. FF is a digraph. We'll go more into that in a second. What the heck is a closed syllable? A closed syllable ends with a consonant. The vowel makes a short sound. So some simple examples are cat, beg, hop, it, and rug. Now, most students are going to look at those words and go, those are baby words, I know how to say them. They probably do, right? They've memorized these words. Why would a student need to say knit? Well, look at the word dignity. In order to sound that out, if you're not familiar with that word, you need to know the 3 syllables: dig, knit, e. Okay? What the heck is a short vowel? So these letters A, E, I, O, U are the vowels. We'll get into Y and W later. And if they're short, they're making these sounds: ah as in astronaut, eh as in envelope, ih as in iguana, ah as in otter, as in upstairs. Most students, if they're struggling with closed syllables, are struggling to accurately say the short vowel sound when they see a closed syllable. A lot of times for they're saying oh. The goal of this unit is to really get them really quickly saying, every time you point to an I, they're saying eh. Every time you point to an O, they're saying ah. They're doing it very quickly and without stuttering. Here are some more closed syllables. As the module goes on, you're going to see some more complex examples of syllables, closed syllables, such as glad, catch, pond, strict, and drudge. So notice all of these are closed with consonant sounds, more than one in some case, but they're all closed with consonant sounds, as opposed to high or rate. Notice that those end with vowels, and they have short vowel sounds. What the heck is a digraph? A digraph is 2 to 3 consonants that make 1 sound. We went over this in cliff, right? The FF is in cliff. So some other examples that you'll see in this unit are double S as in sass, right? So sass. I like to do with students, we pronounce, we read that word. Do we say sass? No, we say sass. Double F as in bluff, double Z as in jazz, CH as in chat. So CH makes a ch sound. That's 1 sound. TCH makes the same sound, as in catch. So both are ch. TH makes a f sound. CK makes a k sound, as in thick. SH makes a sh sound, as in shop. And DGE, this is my favorite because kids always say, I point to it and they go, duh-duh-duh-duh. It just makes a j sound, as in dodge. Now, what the heck is a blend? A blend is when you have 2 to 3 consonants that each make their own sounds instead of teaming up with other consonants to make one sound. So BL and ND, as in the word blend, that's an easy way to remember it, are both blends. BL, you say b, ul, ul, and D, you say nd, as in blend. Similarly, you can have STR, str, CT, as in kt, strict. Okay, that word has 6 letters and 6 sounds because it's all blends. Now, if you are panicking right now because you feel like you're not going to remember any of this, don't worry, you are going to learn as you go. And you can always come back to this video. You can also do a quick Google, right? What is a blend? And it'll refresh your memory. Feel free to look for other resources too. You will become an expert as you learn with your student. If you have any questions or you need any help, please feel free to send me an email, info@literacywithdignity.com. Thanks for being here. Thanks for learning. See you soon.